It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light, little flock. Yahusha said, a good tree cannot bear evil fruit. An evil tree cannot bear good fruit. He said, a tree is known by its fruits. He said, either make the tree good and the fruit good, or either make the tree evil and the fruit evil. Why is he saying this, little flock? He's saying it because obviously men have a hard time judging right. And a lot of times, people think that they're getting good fruit from a good tree, and they're not. And other times, people think they're getting evil fruit from an evil tree, and they're not. You see that today? This is the same man that told us, judge righteous judgment. You judge after the flesh. Do not judge outward appearance. See, little flock? So, in other words, don't judge by the surface of a thing. And a unique thing about fruit is that in order to get to the sweet part of the fruit, you have to go through the surface or the peel. Interesting thing about the peel is that 9 times out of 10, that peel is very bitter. And I don't mean a bitter pill to swallow. I mean peel. The skin of the fruit. In other words, the outer layer of the fruit. The surface of it is bitter. And if you never get through that surface, then you'll never get to the sweet part, which is the meat of the fruit. Let's use a plum as an example. It has that juicy, sweet meat on the inside, but it has a skin on the outside. And that skin is quite bitter. Same thing with the watermelon. Same thing with the orange. Same thing with the banana. Do you see how this is going, little flock? Isn't it obvious what I'm saying here? So if you had no idea when you took an orange, you had no idea what it was, and yet you just took a bite into it, you bit that skin, and you tasted it, you would probably throw the fruit thinking it was disgusting. Everything that needs to be judged properly is judged by the intent, the inward part. When you judge wrong, you judge the surface, or as Christ said, outward appearance of it. So in other words, how it sounds on the surface, how it looks on the surface, that's how you judge things. That's why the righteous judge does not judge by the seeing of his eyes, nor the hearing of his ears. You notice it says neither one. So that means you can do the same thing that you do with your eyes, which is judge wrong by judging the surface. You can do the same thing with your ears. So when you're judging a tree and you're judging the fruit of that tree to see whether it's good or bad or good or evil, how are you judging it? By the sound of it? Or by the intent? Now I'm going to ask you, which one does Abba judge? The sound or the intent? He told you, he shall not judge by the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge. So little flock, I know you're hearing that, right? So what you guys are telling me is it's okay for God to judge righteously, but it's not okay for us to do so, even though he told us to. The scriptures also say, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So then he wants you to judge just like he does. Man's judgment is usually off because he's judging the outward appearance. You can find very many examples in the scripture of that very thing. Men judging wrong, judging how it looks. And Abba says, but on the inside of it, there's something in there. Like David, a man after Abba's own heart. So then it was clear how he was judged. even though men may have judged him on outward appearance, and they judged him wrong. Didn't Goliath? He thought he was dealing with some type of game or a joke when he looked upon the lad. But he didn't know he was dealing with a lion. He didn't know. He judged wrong. He didn't judge David's heart. The heart is where the fight comes from. If you have a boxing video game and you have attributes of your boxer on there, one of the attributes of your boxer is going to be heart every time. Now, what does that attribute mean? Any boxing fans may know, any fighters may know. What does the attribute heart mean? You can interpret heart also as the dog in a fighter. His heart determines how much licking he can take and keep on kicking. You see that there? He can take a great licking and keep on ticking. You can't stop him from fighting you back. You have to kill him to stop him from fighting you back. See that there, little flock? That's much heart. He has a lot of fight in him. You see that? If he lacks heart, then as soon as he gets hurt or hit, he quits. He doesn't have a lot of fight in him. See there? He don't have a lot of heart. See that? Ain't it easy to understand? So Abba looks upon the heart to see, because he wants somebody with a lot of fight in them. Like Paul said, I have fought the good fight. So I need somebody with a lot of fight, zeal. You see, somebody that's hot for me. You see, somebody that's passionate for me. Got a lot of heart. That's who Abba looking at. Now that attribute, can you see the heart of a fighter? No, you don't see it until he's in the fight. You don't know what he's made of until you witness it. You see what I'm saying to you? There's nothing on the outside that can tell you how much heart a fighter has. There's nothing. It comes from an inside place. So if you judge the fighter based on his muscle size, look at what I'm saying, little flock. You judged him based on his muscle size, his reach, his speed, quickness, and power, but not his heart. He has no heart. Then you picked the wrong fighter, even though it looks like you picked the right one. See what I'm saying to you, little flocker? Ain't it easy? That's right. That's right. So once you know how to judge righteous, then you don't care what the outside looks like. That's what Abba keeps trying to tell everybody. A Jew is not one outwardly. Why would he say that if it doesn't line up like Legos with everything else we're saying? Because it does. That's why he said it. A real Jew is not one who's a Jew outwardly. That's not what he said. That's what he said. But he's one inwardly and a Jew of the heart. See? You see? So then if you judge with your eyes and your ears, you won't see the heart, will you? Abba doesn't use those to see the heart. When you discern, do you use your eyes and your ears when you discern? Or is it intuitive from an inside place when you discern a thing? See what I'm saying to you? People can interpret that, understand a thing. See? It happens within you. It's an internal thing that takes place. You see that there? That's the place of the kingdom. That's the place where Abba's interested in. But man seems to be interested on the surface of the thing. So now back to the fruit. If man is only interested in the surface of the thing, then he thinks good fruit is what kind of fruit, guys? Look how easy this is. The one that looks big, the one that looks juicy and sweet, the one that looks pleasing to the eye, just like the garden in the beginning. Did it say the fruit that Eve was looking at was ugly and disgusting looking and look real nasty? Is that what it says? No, it was pleasing to the eyes. That's the point of it, because you shouldn't be judging by the eyes, should you? So if you are, then you'll get mollywopped like Eve got, won't you? Or in other words, you'll get deceived. Looking with your eyes and hearing with your ears. But people still judge that way. So then people can say, hey man, yeah, I heard the message, man. This shit was fire. I mean, it was on fire, man. But there was just a few things, man. The way you said it, it had to be evil, man. The way you were saying that had to be evil. Well, I'm gonna tell you like Yahusha said, either make the tree evil and its fruit evil. Because a good tree can't bear evil fruit. Neither can an evil tree bear good fruit. So what is you saying about me? Am I a good tree or a bad tree? Which one? Just decide. And if you say I'm a bad tree, then go on your merry way and don't never listen to me no more, right? So back to the fruit. You'll realize that if you judge on outward appearance, you'll judge it wrong. And if you take a bite through that skin, you'll also judge the damn fruit wrong. If you've never seen a watermelon and just thought it was a big ass grape, you're like, oh, this thing looks great. And you picked it up and you bit into it. You would bite into the rind, into the skin, and it would be bitter. It always is going to be. Why did Abba make it that way? He's telling you how good fruit is to you. It's bitter on the outside, so it will deter someone who judges outward appearance. Oh my goodness. But the diligent one notices that there's something sweet on the inside that's worth digging past the bitter part to get to it. It didn't make the fruit bad because the damn outer core was bitter. Oh, can you hear that today? So since we're not talking about fruit when Yahusha says that, he's talking about men. What does that mean about the good men that Abba has made in his likeness? In other words, his children, his sons. What about them? Well, what do we read about Yahusha? They called him all kinds of unclean things. See, bitter things. He's unclean. I took a bite out of him. It was bitter. That's why he was the one saying about the fruit in the trees. That's why. Because some people said, oh, yeah, he's good. Some people said he's not. He's like, hey, man, y'all going to have to decide which one it is. And you can't say I'm both. You can't. Because trees can't do that. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit. So if you say I'm a good tree, why are you saying I'm bearing bad fruit? Because you can't judge righteously. That's all there is to it. You cannot yet judge the inner sweetness. Because there is the inner sweetness. You didn't hear what I said about the watermelon? So if you got past the rind, which is the green part and the white part, what you're going to find on the inside, that sweet red part. So then you're going to do what to the bitter part? You're going to discard it. You're not even going to eat it. You're going to discard it and you're going to partake of the sweet part. So then what does that mean as for men? So when you come to a man that look bitter on the outside, you're going to discard that for the sweetness that is within the words that he's saying. Because the words indeed have a bitter outside to them. That's what he's saying by showing you through the fruit, the plum, the orange, the banana. If you take a banana right now out of the store and you bite into it without peeling it, matter of fact, why do you peel it? Because you want what is valuable. So you peel it and you throw the part that's not away. Oh my goodness, can you hear me today? Oh my goodness, can you hear me today? You don't think this is true what I'm saying? Take the kiwi, for example. It's brown and hairy and rough on the outside. Does not look appealing. Matter of fact, it looks like a big nut. But when you bite through that bitter outside, what do you see on the inside? A sweet, green, meaty center full of all kind of nutrition and goodness. Isn't that right, little flock? Isn't it right? Don't you peel your oranges? So in other words, you get the fruit and you say, this is a good orange here. And then you peel it and eat it. You didn't say it's an evil orange because the outside peel was bitter. Oh my goodness, can you hear what Yahusha has taught us all here? With the trees and the fruit, can you hear it? If you're ignorant, you will bite into a banana and think it's bitter because of the peel. And so you'll never find that it's good as hell on the inside. You'll never know. You'll never be eating no damn banana splits, what they call that shit? Banana splits and all this shit. You won't be eating any of those because you don't know no better. No banana pudding for you. Shit, I'm going to be eating that shit because I know better. I know better. See there? You don't know how fruit works. I do. It's bitter on the outside, but it's sweet as hell on the inside. Oh boy. Can you hear it or can you hear it? Now, which one did God tell you to judge? The inside. But a lot of you hearers judge a thing by the outside. It doesn't sound clean like a Christian would speak. Maybe you have an old wineskin idea of how Christians speak. Maybe you have an old wineskin idea of a Christian. Have you been transformed? If you have been, then you should be able to give me 2 ideas of everything that I ask you about. Because you can give me the old world idea and then a new one that is completely transformed. Because your mind has been, hasn't it? Or else, what was the point of you being baptized? The word renew, what does it mean? To renew. To bring it back to its original perfect standard. So then bring your mind back to its original perfect standard, because it became imperfect by the world that you were in. It got tainted by the world that you were brought up in. That's why Christ has to divide you from your father, because your father's part of the old world thinking that he no longer wants that bloodline to be under that curse. And so when you come out of the curse, then you'll see it, because you'll speak to your father and he will not understand the new wine that you speak of. He will not understand why you call yourself royal when he thinks the bloodline to be a peasant bloodline. He will not understand why you say that you are the head and no longer the tail, when he looks around and thinks about the 30 years he put in at the job and how he has slaved his whole life to put food on the table and keep the lights on and just barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. That's old thinking, slave living. Kingdom living, freedom living is totally different, isn't it? Totally is. It's transformed completely. Rich people ain't offended by things that poor people are. It's just that simple. And neither are poor people offended by the things that rich people are. It's just that simple. Just that simple. Because you're not in the same even realm. You're in 2 different realms of living. The slave's existence of I am is totally different than the slave master's existence of I am, is it not? All right, then. So that if you were wise, then you would understand how fruit works, and then you would know, wait a minute here. If someone seeks to present fruit to me as sweet on the outside, then that motherfucker's a liar. See, now people heard me say motherfucker, and then they'll say, see, that's bitter. That's evil, in other words. See, that's evil fruit coming out of you. Oh, Lord, have mercy, have mercy. Remember how I said those who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter? We just discovered that fruit is bitter on the outside. So to the surface, it sounds like it's unclean. It looks like it's unclean. I've taught on this many times. Like Yahusha, what are you doing? You're breaking the commandments. It looks like he is. But if you search the heart of his intent of why he's helping this person, it's love. So he's still keeping God's greater commandment, which is the love, isn't it? How do you fulfill the law? Loving is fulfilling the law. You guys can debate that. You can try to all you want to try to be scholarly and smart and try to rule over other men. But all men become free when they understand that it's love. Truth makes you free. See that? I know it's windy. I hope it ain't interfering too bad with the video. I hope y'all can hear this, because it's very important that you grasp it. So if somebody gives you a flipperoo with the, here comes the okie doke. If somebody gives you a flipperoo and says they're giving you some fruit, but yet the outside is sweet, see, the surface is sweet, then you know you got some strange fruit, don't you? Fruit don't work like that. It don't work like that. Shit. So now it's sweet on the outside, but it's bitter on the inside. But I judged it as good because I judged it on the surface, which was sweet. Well, nigga, is a watermelon work that way? Is the surface of it sweet and the inside it bitter? You'll say no. Does an orange work that way? You'll say no. Does a plum work that way? You will say no. There's a lot of no's there. There's a lot of no's there. There's a whole lot of no's there. See that there, little flop? So then how the hell does it work that way here? It's different. It's not. It works the same. It's bitter on the surface, but good and sweet. The intentions were sweet. Yeah, to help somebody is a sweet intention, even though it looked to the surface like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. You did something wrong to the surface, but the intention wasn't wrong. Though I be rude in speech, not in knowledge, knowledge is on the inside. Speech is what you hear on the outside. So it sounds rude, but it ain't if you search the knowledge of it. See? So you got to pick through the bitter part to get to the sweet part, Paul said. But people just have a struggle with that. They just do. They're too over-righteous. They're too over-righteous to be a good fruit. Good fruit is bitter on the outside. But you're too over-righteous to allow that to be because you're too scared of men's judgment. You're proving it. Men are the only ones who judge the outer exterior of a thing. Men are the only ones. So if you're making the outside to appear sweet to men, then you're trying to deceive men. Who does that other than the serpent? So then who have you proven you are? I'm going to tell you just like my daddy said. You are of your father who's a serpent, a damn devil, and a deceiver, and a murderer, and a liar. Cannot tell the truth. It's about truth and lies, and yet everybody thinks it's about something else. It's not. It's not. It's a lie that the fruit is sweet on the outside and good on the inside. And bitter on the inside. That ain't the fruit you want. Don't work that way. You see that there? All of y'all done had citrusy ass orange peelings in your trash can while you sitting there sucking on the orange slice. Fingers citrusy as hell. You see that there, little flock? The most you'll use that bitter ass peel for is some orange zest every now and again. But that's it. Y'all get the point of what I'm saying here, little flock? It's not hard to be understood. Yahusha knows that people judge the good fruit wrong because they think it's evil, because they judge the surface of it. They think it has a ding in it. Oh, well, then it's not a good piece of fruit. Okay, well, that one that's looking perfect on the outside is actually a GMO. So that means the insides are corrupted of the fruit. Isn't it right? If it's been modified from its original state, then the internal parts are wrong, but the outside look good. So you eat it anyway. So you become one with something that's modified. Does that make you modified? And you wonder why he says things sacrificed unto idols. Idol mean vain, wherein there is no power. There's nothing inside of that thing. It's an idol. It's sacrificed to an idol. It was made for vain reasons. It was made for nothing. It may as well be a piece of art to sit on your table. But men has been deceived by the looks of things. It looks good. You have restaurants that can take a cheeseburger that has no flavor to the shit. It's so bad, piss poor material they use and ingredients they use. It's completely bland. But the nigga then went and found a scientist that can make some shit that come in a vial like this big. That's called cheeseburger flavoring. And all it takes is a drop to drip on that burger patty. And now you got something that tastes like a damn Whopper. It tastes charbroiled and all. They even got the charbroiled drop you can put on there if you want to make it taste a little barbecued. And y'all don't think nothing is wrong with that. That's what's happening. They got chickens. The chicken is little as hell. Look like a Cornish hen sitting there. Some scientist nigga comes up with a syringe, pokes it into the chicken, injects some solution into the chicken that makes the chicken 10 times bigger than it was. He goes from chicken to chicken, injecting this shit, blowing all of these chickens up. Why are you blowing them up? So that God can say, wow, look how big those chickens are. Look at those chickens. You think that's what God's doing? Or did you blow it up so that men would go, look at those chickens. I want the big ones. What you think? So then they're doing the work of their father. They spend all their damn day deceiving. Salesmen do that shit all the time. They spend all damn day lying. They spend all damn day deceiving. Why? To get. What did Eve say when she bore Cain? I have gotten a man, so I will call him Cain. Why Cain? Cain means to get and to acquire. So salesmen are the sons of Cain who go along hunting men, just like Esau does. See what I'm saying to you? A mighty hunter. Hunter means to go along looking for someone to deceive. That's what hunters do to prey. They spray themselves with deer piss. They lay out in the damn trees for 6 months waiting for a perfect buck to come by so they can shoot his ass. They lie in wait. What does the scripture say about your enemies? They lie in wait continuously. You see what I'm saying to you? What are they lying in wait to do? To trick you into devouring you. How do they trick you? Surface. So when you're transformed, you no longer judge by the surface. You don't give a damn how it look. If you're a real man of Abba, you've already been on the dark side. See? And you're not afraid to accept that. Other people who come into so-called Christianity, a lot of times, they don't want to admit they came from the dark side. They just keep it a secret. No one ever has to know that I ever was doing that or I ever did that. Why? It edifies the brotherhood. Brothers who are still stuck there. You see? Like what I'm about to say. I've been with enough good-looking, beautiful-ass women to know that everything that look good ain't good. Which means sometimes I open that fruit up and the inside was bitter. Instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink. Just keeping it real with you. Oh, though she was beautiful. Beautiful. But instead of a sweet smell, there was a stink. The stink made the beauty just fade right on away. But what made you open the fruit in the first place? How it looked. So you see there, little flock? It'll come back to bite you. You bite the wrong fruit, it'll come back to bite you. You eat any fruit that looks sweet, you better be real damn discerning. Does it have a bitter outside? Well, no. Oh, well, I don't want it. What the hell you mean? All the fruit I eat, for the most part, it has a bitter outside that I have to peel off or remove or discard to get to the sweet part. That's the fruit I like eating. What about you, little flock? Is that the fruit you like eating? Fruit you got to get through the bitter part to get to the sweet? You'd say, yeah. You would say, yeah, that's natural, grandson. That's the way it always works. Well, so it is with the servants of God. One may be a banana. That means you have to peel him out open before you taste. Don't taste while he still got the skin on him. Who does that? Somebody who ignorant, who don't know no better. That's it. That's all it means. So peel the words. Don't hear the words and then judge them. That's judging wrong. That's not judging the way God says righteous judgment is judged. You see? You have to peel it open. Oh, now I see that it was really sweet all along. There you go. There you go. Now you're using wisdom. See? Now you're fearless. Now you're not led by fear. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. See that there? People that know that there's something sweet to be had at the end go through the bitter part. Everything is like this. This is what I'm saying. You guys don't think so. Okay, I use fruit. Let's use something like working out. Let's just say you want to just be at your peak health. You really want to get in the best shape possible for yourself. You want to look good, feel good in your clothes, have a lot of energy. Just be a good expression of yourself, right? In order for you to do that, do you have to go through something bitter to get that sweet part? Which is you standing in the mirror looking all good, like, yeah, I look good as hell. That's the sweet part. But before you was talking about I look good as hell, what were you doing? You were grunting, stressing. One more rep. Shit. Bitterness. Come first. See? So there's two things I just used. Do you guys want to keep on going with this or what? You wanted to be heavyweight champion of the world. You've been knocked out in sparring once or twice. You got injury. You broke your hand. You got a rotator cuff injury and shit. Now you're standing there with the belt saying, I finally did it. I did it. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears means bitterness. So does it do when you sow seed. You may sow in tears, but you're going to reap in joy. Why you got to sow in tears? Because it's hard-ass work. That's why. That's the bitterness. That's the peeling the fruit. Shit is hard work. What they do with fruit now, I'm surprised they ain't got fruit that ain't got a peel. They got fruit that ain't got no seeds. Oh man, we always got to work around all these seeds. So let's make it sterile and then eat it. Genetically modifying some shit. You see? Not over righteous, not over wicked. What was on the Passover plate? There was some sweet meat on there. I wonder if there was anything bitter on that plate. Search the scriptures and see. You will see that there was indeed something on that plate called the bitter herb. So Abba always gives them both when he gives you what he gives you. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't understand how you guys can't get that. When you're drinking a cup of coffee, coffee is real damn bitter by itself. So people sweeten it up. But they need the sweet and the bitter to make it pleasurable to the palate. Oh my God, I can keep on going. I don't know why you guys think I need to, because I don't. It's clear, isn't it? It's clear. Oh man, it's too hard. You won't get the sweet part. And then guess what happens when you see somebody else get the sweet part? You get jealous. Oh man, I want to be standing in there looking in the mirror, looking all good like that. Have you ever did the bitter part that they've done? Did you eat the bitter diet that they had to eat and be strict like they were? Did you do that? Well, no. So then you're not willing to get anything good because you're never willing to suffer. What does it say about the kingdom of heaven? He who suffers with me shall glory with me. You got to go through something first called bitterness. It's everywhere. I'm smashing everything down that says otherwise, aren't I? I keep proving it over and over and over. Well, I'm going to give me that many witnesses to one simple fact if it were not true. You have to go through something bitter to get to the sweet. What did Yahushua do? Blood, sweat, and tears. And then he was glorified. Not before the blood, sweat, and tears. Y'all can't see it though. Y'all would say, especially Jesus lovers, I love Jesus. I love him. He's done everything for me. I will never turn on him. Yeah, Peter sounded like that too before he denied him 3 times. Especially Jesus lovers though. They go about thinking that Jesus is so sweet. He's so loving. There's such a sweetness in it to his heart. See? But yet, will not hear when men call him Beelzebub, when they call him a wine bibber. They don't hear that, these Jesus lovers. My question to you all, Jesus lovers, is why was he called that? Men judge outward appearance. So that gives you your answer to why they said that. He did those things. They called him a glutton because of what he was doing. They called him a wine bibber because of what he was drinking and how much of it he was drinking. They accused him and accused him and accused him, but they could not convince him. So all of the things that they're pointing at Christ, saying that are unclean about him, saying that are dirty about him or evil about him, even calling him the devil, it was because of what they saw with their eyes and what they heard with their ears. One time, he just said the Father's name, and they took up stones to stone him because they said, you being a man maketh yourself equal with God. So then you just hear the surface. You don't hear the intent at all. You don't. Nope, they don't, because they judge by the flesh and they judge outward appearance. Yahushua told you that. So then people do that today. And who are the people who do it? The over-righteous. The over-righteous. Outwardly appear righteous unto men. They indeed outwardly appear righteous unto men. That's what Yahushua said. They do. I told you, stand in the mirror, look at this. Look what I've done. Look at me. See? But inwardly, it ain't right. So that's the fruit that looks sweet on the outside, but inside is truly bitter and does you no good. Actually, it's harmful to you and hurts you. It's poison. It kills you. That's what Abba said about the forbidden fruit. Do you see why he used fruit as the analogy? What he's saying is, if you want the sweet before the bitter, then you will not get what it is you think you're looking for. You won't get it. Little young one putting in work, y'all. Putting in work. But y'all see that today? You want the sweet before the bitter, then you'll kill yourself. But what do people want? They want what sounds good, sweet. What looks good, sweet. Ask the prophets of old what the people said to them when they spoke. What did the people say about the prophets? You're evil. You're lying. You're wicked. That's what they said. They always say that about the good fruit. That proves that they can't judge right. I've taught about this so many times that if you've been here at the School of Marvelous Light, you should have no excuse. You should be able to readily understand this principle now. When you go to eat you a piece of fruit, just pay attention. You need a little bit of bitter with that sweet to make it good. And the bitter part is on the outside, and that's what comes first. So if you can't get through the bitter, then you can't get the glory, the sweetness. So if you don't suffer with me, then you will not reign with me. Same principle, and it's everywhere. If you want to reign, then you got to train. It's just the way that it is. And the training is bitter. It is. So the beginning of everything is bitter. That's why he said the end of a thing is better than the beginning of it. The inside of the watermelon is better than the beginning when you first bit into it. So don't just stop because you bit and it was bitter. Keep going. The end of a thing is better. Keep going. Y'all can't hear that today? It's been made very plain and easy for all to be understood. Don't judge on outward appearance or how it sounds or looks. Don't do that. Well, this guy is speaking smoothly and calmly, so he must be good fruit. When you bit into the orange, did you have a smooth, calm experience initially? Or were you like, whoa, shit, let me peel this thing first. Let me be patient. It's a patient process to peel the orange. It takes some time for you to get down and see. That's what you should do with the fruit you're looking at. That's why he says test the spirits, whether they really be of Christ or not. Test them. And so once you see and you go, okay, wait a second, this is evil fruit. Well, then that tree is evil. That man is evil. It can't be any other way. It can't be good fruit coming off an evil tree. So I might as well throw the tree and the fruit away. Both bad. That's what Yahusha said it is. See there? But if I'm hearing good fruit, then that tree is good. Because that's the only way I can get the good fruit. See that? The root has to give the nutrients to the true vine. The true vine has to give the nutrients to the branch. And then the branch has to give the nutrients to produce the fruit. See? Now let's see if God did this with his own people. Abraham had to bear Isaac. Remember, the root and the true vine had to bear Isaac. And then Isaac had to bear Jacob, the branch. And then off of the branch hung the 12 fruit. It's going to be everywhere. Waiting for the sweet part takes patience. Ask God. We with patience wait for what we hope for. The sweet part. Well, keep peeling. And then you'll get to it. All you got to do is keep peeling. You can't not peel the fruit and then judge it. You can't. Because you don't know what's on the inside. You got to get to it. Isn't that right, little flock? Yeah, grandson, that is right. But sometimes you say stuff and on the surface it sounds evil. Well, then now you should understand why. So all of these videos that I post on a daily, usually on a daily basis, they're evil fruit. That's what you're saying? Well, no, I'm not saying that. Well, then what are you saying? Well, some of it's good, but that part where you were yelling, see? That part where you were looking all angry, see? That part where you said a few cuss words there, that part, it's always that part. And every time they say that part, I'm looking at each part of the peel laying on the ground. While they're sitting there with the juicy ass orange, complaining, saying it's not a good piece of fruit. I'll take it then if you don't want it. Hey man, I didn't know all that juicy part was there. I was too busy looking at the peel. Well, that's your fault. That's your own dadgum fault. See that there, little flock? It's just ignorance. That's what Yahushua was dealing with. Forgive them for they don't know. They're putting bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter. So now that you know how the fruit works, how does that scripture apply? They put sweet for bitter. Well, the bitter is the outside skin, the rind, the peel. So they make that part sweet. See how it goes? And the bitter part, the sweet part, is they make that part bitter, which is the inside. The part you're going to eat. That's what you're going to become one with. They conceal it under a veneer. See how that's working? That's how they do it. Doesn't the scripture line right up perfectly with that? All right then. So don't kick against it. And don't do it. Be free from it today. Man's judgment. Man's judgment is wrong. Excuse me, y'all. Man's judgment is wrong. Abba told you that. So, judge righteous judgment today, now that you know how to. Discern the good from the evil. Clean from the unclean, as the scripture says. And choose righteously. Salam Israel.